Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're really getting into something big. We're stepping into this, well, whirlwind of rebellion. Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's a classic, really shifted things in American literature. So our mission, like always, is to, dive deep into the source material here. We want to pull out the most important nuggets, the surprising stuff, and what this powerful work really means. We'll navigate the psychological drama, the social critique, really get to the heart of fighting for freedom against, well, tough odds.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating here is that Cuckoo's Nest is not just a book anymore, is it? It's become this cultural phenomenon. It
Yeah.
still sparks huge debates, even now. So in this deep dive, we'll look at the key pieces. Kesey's own background is pretty wild. The core story, the characters, unforgettable ones, the big themes, the symbolism he uses. It's layered. And of course, why it still matters, its sort of philosophical weight and literary importance. Think of this as your guide to understanding its lasting power.
That's a great starting point. And it takes us straight to Ken Kesey himself. We need to place him right in the thick of the 1960s counterculture. I mean, he wasn't just watching this stuff happen. He was, like, right in the middle of it. Huge social change, questioning authority. Kesey embodied that. And he was famously involved in those early LSD experiments, government-sponsored at first. But that led to, well, a more personal journey for him. He became this central figure in the whole psychedelic scene, tied into the beat and hippie literary stuff. And here's where it gets really interesting. How those experiences directly shaped his critique. His own explorations of altered states, sometimes voluntary, sometimes not. It gave him this unique kind of visceral take on how reality can be bent or even broken.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Kesey's perspective, coming out of that counterculture, it didn't just make him want to challenge authority. It kind of immersed him in the experience of questioning systems. And that's the absolute core of Cuckoo's Nest, isn't it? His life, all that experimentation, rejecting the norm. It's baked into the book.
Yeah.
I feel it's strongest, I think, in Chief Bromden's world. That fog he talks about, it feels so real, almost sensory, like a drug haze. It suggests external control can literally warp your insides, make sanity feel slippery. That personal insight from Kesey adds this, well, almost hallucinatory edge to the critique, makes the oppression feel physically real.
Right, and that rebellious energy is just contagious. It totally kicks off when McMurphy shows up. The story grabs you straight away. Through Chief Bromden's eyes, he's this patient, huge guy, pretends to be deaf and mute. Mastered it, really. For years, he's just been watching silently, hidden. But his world, the whole institution, it gets completely flipped by Randle P. McMurphy. This guy, McMurphy, he's charismatic, loud, definitely a rebel, a convict. He faked being insane to get out of prison work. Thought the hospital would be easy. But him arriving, it's like throwing a match on gasoline. A rock in a still pond just instantly disrupts that suffocating order and gets everything moving.
That's exactly it. McMurphy showing up, it's not just, making waves. It lights a fire. He represents this raw, uncaned part of being human, right? Fighting for yourself. Nurse Ratched, she's the complete opposite. Calculated suppression, all hidden behind this therapeutic mask. So that first clash between them, it's way more than just personalities bumping heads. It immediately sets the stage for this huge struggle. Individuality versus the system. Freedom versus oppression. And what's really at stake, it's the patient's minds, their dignity. Can they get that back? It's a battle of ideas, really. Can humanity survive the Combine's machine?
Absolutely. And Kesey designs it so well how the characters just embody these big ideas. Let's zoom in on that central fight. First, Randle McMurphy. He's the classic rebel, just full of charisma. Every little smirk, every time he breaks a rule, laughs out loud. He's poking authority right in the eye. He brings this vibrant chaos into that sterile place. Gambling, card games, pushing for the World Series, that fishing trip. It's not just messing around. It's direct attack on their rigid control. It breathes life back into the guys. And then against him, Nurse Ratched. Cold, calculating. The symbol of that oppressive power. She doesn't need force. She uses psychological games, really insidious, little threats, guilt, shame, turning patients against each other. That's how she keeps her grip. She's quiet, seems gentle almost, but totally ruthless about breaking spirits and enforcing conformity. That makes her way scarier than some loud tyrant, I think.
And to really get the scale of this, we have to keep Chief Bromden in mind. He's our eyes and ears. McMurphy and Ratched are fighting it out, yeah. But Bromden gives us the feel of the place. He might be pretending, but he sees everything. Sometimes with this almost hallucinatory sharpness. He doesn't just see a hospital. He sees this oppressive machine. The Combine, he calls it. For Bromden, the Combine isn't just a metaphor. It's almost alive. This huge, dehumanizing force in society. Cogs and gears grinding people down, making everyone the same, killing individuality. He feels it like a literal fog rolling in, blurring things, letting Ratched's control sneak in. Makes the abstract feel, well, suffocating. And the other patients, the acutes, the chronics, they're the victims of this combine. They show all the ways people can be broken, forced to conform, stripped of who they are. Their fates are hanging right there, showing just how high the stakes are for McMurphy's fight. He's not just fighting for himself, it's for their humanity.
Yeah, those stakes are huge. And that takes us right into the main themes pulsing through the novel. At the very center, it's that fight for autonomy, isn't it? The individual against the institution. That classic epic struggle against systems that try to crush your freedom. Tied right into that is the pressure to conform, just give in, versus the courage it takes to resist, even when it looks hopeless. And these aren't just ideas stuck in a hospital ward. When we ask, so what does this mean for us? It's obvious these themes echo way beyond those walls. They reflect struggles for individuality we still deal with today, work, communities, politics.
That's exactly right. And building on that, the book really digs into masculinity and power, too, especially for that time, when ideas about being a man were shifting a lot. Think about how the institution, especially Ratched, deliberately tries to, dismantle their sense of being men. She takes away their agency, their sexuality, even basic choices. Emasculates them, basically. So McMurphy's loudness, his unfiltered maleness, the gambling, the fishing trip, even his sexual bragging, those are direct acts of defiance against that kind of castration. He's trying to give back some self-worth, some vitality to men who've been told they're broken, powerless. And then there's that massive, tricky theme, sanity versus insanity. The novel just keeps poking at it. What really makes someone mentally ill? Is it just not fitting in? Or is it a real disorder needing treatment? Kesey makes you, the listener, really think hard about society's labels. Who benefits? Where's the line between care and control? It seriously challenges how we even define normal.
And we can't have this deep dive without hitting the symbolism Kesey uses so well. Drives the themes right home. We mentioned it, but let's really focus on the combine. It's more than a word. It's this terrifying metaphor for society as this big, oppressive machine, a system that wants everyone to fit neatly, crushing anything different in its gears. And then those chilling treatments. Electroshock therapy, lobotomy. It's key to remember these were real medical procedures, though often misused. Electroshock, passing currents through the brain. Lobotomy, severing connections in the frontal lobe, meant to treat severe issues but often had devastating side effects, changing personalities completely. In the book, though, they're not just clinical. Kesey shows them as brutal tools, control, dehumanization, not for healing, but for pacifying, punishing, silencing anyone who steps out of line. The book is brutal about showing how these treatments were tragically used, stripping people of their core selves, turning defiance into emptiness.
Which leads us right into the novel's philosophical depth, the layers underneath. What's really striking here is how you can read McMurphy as, almost a Christ-like figure. He sacrifices himself, doesn't he, ultimately? Not just for himself, but for the others, for their freedom. His final awful punishment comes directly from trying to wake the others up, give them back their voice, their agency. And that act, while tragic, empowers Chief Bromden to finally break free. So the novel, through all this, asks these huge questions about freedom, about individuality, and about the heavy price you often pay for resisting authority. It doesn't give easy answers, which is part of its power. Instead, it just slams against the idea of normalcy. Who defines it? Who benefits from that definition? The power involved. It makes you wonder, is fitting into a sick system really sane? Or is rebellion, even if it destroys you, somehow more human?
It's such a timeless and challenging message, and that brings us to its universal impact importance in literature. The novel's core message is just so clear, still resonates today. Real humanity, dignity, selfhood. It lies in pushing back against oppressive systems. And freedom, being yourself, often costs a lot. It's a defiant shout for the individual spirit. This isn't just a good read. It's seen as one of the defining works of the 1960s in America. Groundbreaking, its raw power, its unique voice, it just lasts. Still part of the conversation.
And its cultural reach just exploded with that 1975 film adaptation. Hugely acclaimed, famously swept the Oscars Best Picture, Director, Actor for Jack Nicholson's McMurphy. Incredible performance. That film took its themes to a massive global audience, really cemented its impact. So connecting this back to the bigger picture, it's undeniable the novel still fuels important debates, mental health care, authority, personal freedom. It's all still relevant. It's kind of a benchmark for stories about fighting the machine, shows the human spirit's drive to define itself.
So where does that leave us? What does this all mean? We've unpacked this really powerful story, how it uses the small world, the mental institution, to critique much larger forces in society. We've talked about the courage needed for freedom, the sneaky ways power works, and the bravery of resisting conformity, even against the odds. It's a story that really pushes you to look deeper, doesn't it? To question who's in charge and what you'd risk for your own autonomy.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe a question for you, the listener, to take away. Given how Cuckoo's Nest still feels so relevant, How do you see that struggle between the individual and the institution? How does it play out in the world around you today? Maybe at work, in your community, just societal pressures, and thinking about your own life.
Yeah.
What's the cost? The cost of your own resistance, or maybe your own conformity?